This episode of the Accounting Insiders podcast is brought to you by Insightful Accountants Be Insightful membership program. Get 9 expert-led training tracks, over 30 CPE hours a year, hands-on workshops, and year-round premium content to grow your skills and your practice. Learn more at blog.insightfulaccountant.com. Just click the premium member content button.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Accounting Insiders podcast. My name is Gary DeHart. I'm the host of the Accounting Insiders podcast, publisher of Insightful Accountant. And today is November the 11th, 2025. I like to put a date in there. So if we say something in our conversation today, it may not be valid 6 months from now, but today on November 11, 2025, it is. My guest today is Nancy Benet out of Fix It Accounting, right? Fix It.
That's correct.
Yes, perfect. Out of Central Florida. So Nancy, thank you so much for being here and just having a conversation.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Absolutely. So I like to kind of tee these up to where just a little bit about you, your background, kind of what got you into accounting even, right? And from your perspective, in your business perspective, what all do you do? And then if we can touch a little bit on your tech stack, kind of technology that you use to run your practice. And again, a little bit of the history that got you from where you were to where you are. So I threw a lot at you there. So I'll break that down a little bit. How'd you get into accounting?
Okay, so that goes way back. I was probably like 8 or 10 years old, and my parents were really poor, but they had a friend who was a CPA, and his family had a really nice lifestyle. And that's what I wanted. I wanted to be able to do the things that they did. I wanted that kind of freedom to travel and just have enough money to do what you want to do. So I decided I wanted to become a CPA. And I took that track. I mean, I really took it seriously. I did well in school. I went to college, got a good education. I got a good job. And when I got there, I was like, oh, this sucks. I hate it. This is horrible. And so I decided, well, because I was locked in a little office all the time doing tax audit and that kind of work. And I just thought, is this all there is? So I decided I didn't like that very much and wanted to go into industry. There was a lot of industry in the area where I lived. And so I became the corporate controller at one of the clients. And I thought, this is going to be great. But it wasn't.
Right.
I hated it. Yeah. And so I kind of left the industry completely. My dream really had been to own my own firm, but I knew that I didn't have the skill set for that. I knew that I didn't have really the interest in doing it anymore because I thought accounting was horrible and I just hated the long hours and the seasons, and it was just too much. So I decided to become a stay-at-home mom and help my husband open businesses. And we had 5 spectacular business failures. And I ended up 45 years old, divorced with 4 small children, $100 a week in child support, and $650,000 in debt. Yikes. So I decided I'm going to, get a job. So I got a job, but they downsized and sold and moved their accounting operations to Colorado. I live in Florida. Sorry, can't go there. So here I was out of a job and my unemployment ran out and I was pretty desperate. But then there was a guy from church that somebody introduced me to, and he had a very small tax prep firm and he wanted to retire. So we went under contract with owner financing, and he was starting to teach me. I started looking for office space. I signed a 3-year lease. The day after I signed that lease, he decided not to sell me the business and gave it to his daughter. So as you can imagine, I was pretty desperate. But this is where it gets really good because that's when I just had to dig my heels in. It was the middle of the recession. I just said, I'm going to make this work. I don't really have any other choices. There are no jobs, there are no clients, but I'm going to make it work. And we figured it out. We started marketing to people who had federal tax liens in our county, and then it grew to other counties, and it grew to the whole state, and it was really successful, which is why we have the name Fix It Accounting. But we've moved on from that. We still are good at that, and it has made us really great accountants, but we don't do as much of that work anymore. It's There's lots of competition there, and we just don't even go there. I want more regular recurring revenue is what I was after. So we migrated from that. We do a ton of tax prep. We do a lot of advisory work, accounting, monthly, quarterly, CFO, controllership type things, depending on what the client wants. We try to meet their need. And so here we are, and it's been really a great ride, and I'm happy that I finally found a place that I do feel happy. Like, it's fun to come to work every day. We have dogs in our office. We make it a great place to be. And it's really interesting too, because our clients have lots of problems we can solve and lots of puzzles we can put together and really help them build their businesses. So I love it.
Yeah. So that, so you went from the federal tax liens, stick on that for just a second. Pretty easy to identify those people.
Yep. That's public record in Florida.
Right?
And so we would just mail them a letter that looked like a wedding invitation, and got pretty good response from that. And a lot of those clients that we worked on that with in that area with still are clients. We still do their tax prep years later.
Yeah. Well, you helped them out, right? And so now makes you a trusted resource early on in the relationship. And as long as it all went well, right? Why wouldn't they call you back? So that's fantastic. So you don't do that work at all anymore?
We do. It's incredibly fulfilling. I really enjoy that work. I have one person, she does tons of it. She's just super skilled. It's just that we don't market for that anymore. I mean, we have ads out for 5 years behind on tax because we do a lot of back work, but that's not really our main focus anymore. I really like having the recurring monthly revenue. We have a bunch of clients. We hit their bank account on the first of every month, and we do their work, and it just provides such stability for us. So even if we decided not to do tax prep anymore and just concentrated on our service clients, we would be fine. And I really like that because I don't really want to do the 80-hour-a-week tax season. I don't make my people work that hard. It's just not a sustainable practice, I think. So we just really opt for the relationship building with our clients.
Yeah. And there's plenty of business out there, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's lots. More than we can do. As we were talking earlier, I'm not really much of a networking person. I don't want to go shake hands and hand out business cards. That's not fun for me. So when I first started here, we started doing online search engine optimization, and it's paid off in spades. It's been tremendous. Our phone rings off the hook. We've got, I don't know, hundreds of 5-star Google reviews between our locations. And I don't know, the next accountant has 5 or 3 or something. And so people see that and they feel really comfortable calling us.
And you say your locations, so you have multiple locations?
We do in a way. We have one main location in DeLand, Florida, and then we have virtual locations, if you will, in Jacksonville, Orlando, Tampa, Melbourne, and Daytona Beach.
And are you working outside of the state of Florida? You have clients outside of Florida?
We have clients outside of Florida, but we do not have any offices outside of Florida. But clients, they come and they go, they move, and they still stay with us. We have, a couple of clients that have multi-state locations, bigger clients, that are doing millions and millions of dollars in revenue. And so we do a lot of different state tax returns and stuff. Florida does not have individual income tax. State tax like that.
Do you concentrate in any particular niche, or any and all business is good?
We prefer service businesses. I don't much like manufacturing. We have a few of those, but service is mostly what we do, and that works pretty well.
Yeah. And you go at it more, are you focusing the full service kind of all the way through like CFO type services, or will you do bookkeeping, or hey, we'll just do your return? What does that look like?
Oh yeah, we do all the way. We'll do all your bookkeeping. We'll be your controller. We will be your full accounting department, depending on what you need. But I really try to meet the client need. If they want an in-house bookkeeper, we will support that for sure. But I do have a full accounting department they're just highly skilled, and they've got really good processes that help them get the work done much more quickly. If you utilize QuickBooks Online, you can set rules and about everything, and it's really great.
And that leads us to the next question. That was around kind of the tech stack. What do you only serve clients on QBO, or do you care what the general ledger is?
Yeah, right now we're only QBO just because there hasn't been a lot of other good options. I
Mm-hmm.
personally don't really like being locked in with Intuit, but that's where we are. So we just make the best of it, and we make the client pay for the service. They pay Intuit. We don't get involved in that. We're not doing the billing to get them a discount. It's just too much billing problem with that and
Yeah.
many things to keep up with. So we're really trying to streamline that and keep it simple.
Okay. What else is in that tech stack? What else? What other
We
key parts of it?
We use Sure Payroll for our payroll clients because it gives us a dashboard. We can go log in once, you get a dashboard, all your clients are in there. It's fantastic. If they have a different payroll platform coming in, we manage that, but we don't do any payroll in-house. It's just not worth it. It was got to be really many years ago too hard on the quarter
Yeah.
and the end of the year to get that stuff done.
Yeah.
So we don't do that. We use Jetpack Workflow for our practice management.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the younger ones here always want to upgrade and move to a different software, but I'll tell you that's difficult to
Yeah.
migrate everything over, and you've got it all set up in one platform. So we've been kind of sticking with them, and they've had some good upgrades lately, so it's fine.
Yeah. I think they've got don't they have a conference coming up, like a virtual conference?
I do not know the answer to that.
I think they do. I think they have one coming up maybe December, first part of December.
Yeah.
Um, so the what about anything else that's in the, I guess Jetpack helps you with the client communications, right? That's part of what that
It
is.
does. You can send emails through there. They've got a lot of email templates and stuff
Mm-hmm.
there, but mostly I'm just forcing everybody. You will keep your notes there. You will put client notes because it's saved us so many times to have date and time stamped notes about what we've done, because the client will come back and go, well, you didn't blah blah blah, and we go, yes we did, here it is.
Right.
Or if they try to dispute a credit card charge, you've got, and we don't have that happen often, but it does happen, and I always
Right.
want to be prepared.
Yeah. So what about how do you do that then? How do you train the staff to use the tools? We have multiple software platforms and various things that we use, and I'm one of the worst offenders of not using it to its full capability. How do you encourage your staff to continue to use the tools the way they're supposed to be used?
Well, if there are not notes in Jetpack and something's not been done right, the office manager is after them, and they
Yeah.
get a little, oh, upset with her maybe, but she's on top of it. And
Yeah.
you have to manage your platform. You can't just assume everybody's going to do it. You have to have somebody that's responsible. So the office
And look,
manager, and then also the accounting lead, she's going through making sure jobs are handled and nothing gets missed, because if you miss something, it can have serious consequences.
right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you kind of came in marketing first, it sounds like. I mean, again, since you're not really, I don't want to go networks, I really want to build online presence. So that's really marketing, right?
Yeah.
And is that something that is because it's marketing is not necessarily natural first thing to go to for accounting professionals, right?
Nope.
Um, but it sounds like it's certainly something that has helped set you up apart, right, from others.
It
Is
really
that
has.
what was that something that was just a natural fit for you, or did you have to kind of learn it and convince yourself that yes, it's worth the investment?
I had to convince myself it was worth the investment. And I didn't realize at the time, I think, what a large investment it was, but I kept after it. And I had a friend who was a marketing expert, and she really, together, we walked through this. And now she does a lot of accounting firms because she's just learned how well it works.
Yeah.
It's just worked so well for us. And I just appreciate her so much. But it really took a long time for us to really get a handle on what it was, what it looked like, what we needed to do. We hired a writer who did all our blog posts, and we hired somebody to do the social media. And, even I don't get clients from social media at all. in the past, when we have, they haven't been good clients. They were, ones that didn't want to pay much or whatever, not really our ideal fit. So we really don't try to get that, but that's one of our ways to develop the SEO is to always post on social media. We just post and post and post, and we don't have a lot of followers, but it really helps. And so it's a big puzzle. You start putting the pieces in and fit it all together, and it really works when you figured out how to do it. But it just took us a long time.
Right. Yeah. And how has that changed, I would say, over the last 12 months? I mean, with AI and what the search engines are doing, have you seen much of an impact?
I don't have the knowledge of that very much. I'm not looking at the back end of things. I meet with the marketing person who's the same one 10 years later or 15 years. She's the same one. I meet with her every week, and we go over the ads and we make changes to the web pages, and we do, little tweaks here and there and make a plan. And every year we get together and we make a plan on what we're going to do. But over the last year, it's really ramped up. I'm not exactly sure why and what happened, but we've got the same budget. I think we probably spent, I don't know, $50,000 on the whole package of the marketing with her fees and the ads and stuff. And the phone, I'm going to say we've got like 3 times more leads. Wow. Because it clicked in somehow.
Okay. I guess Google liked something that you were doing. Now, I have heard that like your Google Google business profile is critical, right? And
it is.
So I guess you're posting there, and that drives it.
I don't think we post there, but we do have a Google profile for each one of the locations, and we also ask for Google reviews. We ask every client, even if they've written us a review last, we ask them again, and we might send them a different link for a different location. And so it really adds up. And that's one of the tech stack things that's missing in our office is the texting, because people will much more easily click on a text to do a Google review than they will an email. And I haven't gotten that piece yet, but we still, even if 1 out of 25 or 30 gives a good Google review, or even 1 out of 50, we're still in way ahead.
Right. And so is that, so currently you do it through email? Is that what you said?
It's email right now. I haven't figured out the texting piece. It just seems a little complicated for me.
Okay, right. And is that something that is it a specific email that goes out saying, hey, provide a review, or is it, hey, here's your bill, give us a review?
It goes through Jetpack. It's one of the, Jetpack has templated jobs with the list of actions in each job. And the last one is request a Google review for every tax prep job. And we use the tax prep job only because all the accounting clients are going through tax prep anyway, except maybe a couple, but not many. Most of them are through tax prep. So it's on the end of the tax prep job for every year. So we're not asking all the time. It's just once a year we ask.
Yeah. And so I'm going to kind of wrap this part of the conversation up, and that, so you really contribute a lot of the success that you've had from the marketing that you've done, and that was through a third part, well, not through, but with a third party, right? So you had an outsourced person, or dedicated outsourced person, right? Not an in-house. So an outsourced person dedicated to marketing. And do you find like in other accounting firms that just doesn't happen? I mean,
I haven't seen anybody else that's doing what we're doing. The way that we're doing it, just nobody really. I guess I've been mentoring a CPA over in Daytona Beach for 3 or 4 years, and he's just done really, really well. And I think he does some of that, but I'm not sure that he outsources that. And marketing's not something I would bring in-house. It just changes so fast, and I don't want to have to keep up with all of that. I really appreciate the partnership. And what I try to do is surround myself with really bright people, because I can't know everything and do everything. And I find that the clients that are trying to do everything themselves don't do as well as the clients who bring in experts. So why would I do any different?
Right. Well, that's kind of where I was going, because, core of what you did, what we kind of talked about in our planning call, is about CFO and advisory services, right? I mean, so so it's like, if you're an outsourcer, makes sense to, if you're an outsourced person, right, makes sense to use outsourced people, in your business as well. So the talk about the CFO and advisory services from your perspective. Kind of what does that really look like for? Obviously, it might be a little different for many different clients, but ideally for you in identifying a firm or a client that's a good fit for it, and how do you identify them, and then how do you kind of work them into your systems?
So the client comes in, they're behind on filing and they have no idea how they're doing. We've got one, for instance, right now. He's coming in. We've done several years of accounting and tax prep work for him. And now I'm looking, he did, okay, 1 year, really well the next year, didn't do so great the next year. I'm looking at his financials. I'm like, man, you're bringing in millions of dollars and there's no real net income on the bottom line. What's going on? You really need some advisory services here. We need to dig. We need to go looking at your revenue, cash flow, and net profit drivers. What's going on in there? We need to look at your by job results. Where is the money going? Why are you losing? And so he was like, yeah, okay. And so, of course, that's what he wants. And that's what he needs too. And he also needs controllership services because the woman that's been doing it for him is really good, but he needs her in operations because they're just growing like crazy. So, that's how I identify them. And I'm not the one doing the sales calls. I've got somebody that just does sales. And so she identifies them and then talks to me about them. And then we have a conversation with the client together and make recommendations for them. And some will take it, some won't. They're like, oh, that's too expensive. And okay, but it would really pay off for you. We know that we can get you some money from that.
Yeah, it's too expensive, yet you're making no money, right? So
that's right.
And but that's fair enough, right? I mean, at some point you can take the horse to water, right? You can't force them to drink, and you can't force the business people to listen. So when you do find one that says, yeah, you know what, that makes perfectly good sense to me, what does that kind of transition, or what does that look like in really, because you've got to become part of their business, right? And you've got to be in their business to be a real, outsourced CFO. You've got to know a lot of aspects about their business. Do you find that they're openly saying, sure, come see what we're having or see what we do, or is there hesitancy there?
Sometimes there is, because they're ashamed, or a lot of that goes back, oh, things aren't really good here. I don't know if I want to show it to you. But if they're willing to pay for the advice, they need to open that up. And generally we can help them do that. And then we don't give them too much to work on at once. We really try to identify just 1 or 2 things a month and go, here's what would really impact you this month. Let's work through this problem. How can we solve these things for you? And let them make those choices of what they want to work on. We identify the problem and they identify how they're going to fix it.
Okay. Yeah. And are you flat fee, or do you do hourly? How do you bill?
No, we don't bill anything hourly. It is too hard to keep up with, and you can do so much better if you just do a flat fee. So we do a flat monthly fee. Typically we'll discount that if they're in some other service. So if we're doing a monthly service or a controllership service for them, we'll give them a discount on this CFO service that we add on and make it a little package for them to make it a little more affordable. But I love that part, because all the other is compliance work. You're looking backwards. And you can't solve a problem looking backwards. I mean, you can try to do the best you can to make an S election or whatever, if they've got a lot of tax due and you're trying to minimize. But going forward, you can do so much. We had a client, he bought one of our clients and stayed with us, and he had a much larger vision for this business. So he calls me one day and he says, oh, Nancy, I hate this SBA loan I've got from buying the business. The interest rates just keeps going up. And he's like, I want to pay that off. He said, but I need to buy this equipment over here. And I was like, well, tell me about that. And so we had probably a 15-minute conversation. By the end of that conversation, he, instead of buying one piece of $500,000 equipment, he bought two, because it would make him millions and millions and millions of dollars. While if he had paid off the loan, it would save him thousands.
Right.
So it was such a better idea for him to invest in the equipment. And I felt so good about that. He was so happy. Everybody came out winning there.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. And
Yeah.
that, to me, I mean, that's what business owners, that's what we need, is that third party looking in going, hey, have you thought about this? Or, because we have our heads down, right? We're trying to run our own business and take care of people and do all the stuff that's required, that it's hard to look forward and it's hard to take time and plan, right? For what the future is really going to look like, unless you're hyper focused or hyper diligent. And I would say most entrepreneurs are diligent, but not necessarily about the stuff that we should be doing, right? So,
well, they want to work on what they want to work on. And how can
exactly.
you know how to calculate those things? How can you know how to interpret financial statements and really dig down into what the numbers mean if you don't have a CPA license? You know what I mean? It's just a skill set, and people think they should know that, but they really can't. There's no way for them to have that. You can't know everything. You can't be all, do all.
Yep. And what about, I've got one more question and then we'll bounce over to licensing and kind of the business that you're building there. What about the banking relationships? Do you get involved in that at all? Or do you have recommended banks that you work with?
We have recommended banks we work with. I will refer the client out to the bankers we use, refer them to the Small Business Development Center, which I know they have ex-bankers on staff that can shop the banks for them and really help them, but we don't get involved in that. We deal with the bank feeds through QuickBooks, and we can do certain things, but I don't get involved with the banking relationships. We provide financial statements if the banker needs them. But other than that, we don't really get involved. And I certainly don't get involved with getting investors and things like that. That's just out of our scope.
Okay. Yeah. The SBDC, have you had clients have really good success with SBDC?
I have had good success with SBDC. I've been through a lot of their programs. I speak at their events sometimes. So I really like the program, but they've got a lot of great tools and resources, but the business owner has to be willing to listen and take advantage. And I just haven't seen many that do.
Yeah.
But now I'm a volunteer with the SBDC Advisory Board Council program. And so I'm on somebody else's advisory board, helping them. And I really enjoy that. It's just a volunteer.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's awesome. Do you know Kim Fedor?
Who?
It's Kim Fedor.
No.
She, gosh, I can't remember what the company, but they do a lot of kind of their business has been, historically, they were training QuickBooks Pro advisors on how to basically leverage their knowledge of QuickBooks to build business. But now they do a lot of work with SBDC, and it's a lot of the training. They do a lot of training through the SBDC around QuickBooks.
Nice. That's good. That's necessary. QuickBooks markets their product as, oh, here, you can come in and do your own. And we go behind that person doing their own all the time. And if they don't have back end accounting principle knowledge, it's just a mess.
Yeah. Yeah. Can and should are two different things, right? Yeah. You can use it. You shouldn't, but you can. All right. So the fixed accounting, it's not really franchise, right? I think we said it's not really franchise, but what are you building there?
Well, I enjoyed so much helping that CPA over in Daytona Beach. He's younger and he left one of the big regional firms and started his own, and he was so frustrated. So he goes to the SBDC and asks for somebody to mentor him, or he wanted to get in the mentorship program for the CEO group that I was part of. And the director there just stuck him right with me. And I volunteered and helped him build his practice. And it was so much fun. And it really made me want to mentor other CPAs. And so we got all the franchise paperwork done. We haven't opened a franchise yet. We also have a licensing program because there was somebody that wanted to be a franchisee but wasn't a CPA. And so I said, well, we can do this licensing program, which is something we came up with through SBDC as well. And we owned 51% and she owned 49%. But we never did get that going, and that didn't really go anywhere. So, but I'm excited about it. We've generated so much online interest and so many phone calls and inquiries that we really can't do all the work. And so I would love it if somebody else around here wanted to open a Fix It Accounting franchise or licensed location, just operating under our name with us helping them, because we've got the operations manual put together. We have the systems in place. Everything's ready. We know how to do our business, and I'd love to teach somebody else.
Yeah. And that, in your mind, what does that look like? I mean, you're going kind of soup to nuts. Here's where we start.
Help you find a place to be, like the office that would fit for you, get you in all the software packages, and then start driving calls to you, teach you how to handle those calls, because sales is an art. I have somebody here that's super great at it too, actually, and then I can do it myself, because it's really just not selling something. It's meeting the client with what they need. And we do a good job of that. And I like that. And I want to, when you get to a certain point in your life, I'm 60 years old, I want to help the next generation be successful. I don't want to just go, oh, well, it's all for me. And, there's not enough clients. I don't have that belief at all. I think there's plenty of clients for everybody. And I see that young people maybe aren't going into our profession as much, but the ones that do, I really want to see them succeed and have a happy existence that doesn't include 80 hours in tax season and lots of stress, misery in some firm that doesn't care about you.
Yeah. And be impactful, right? I mean, the work you guys do, and, accounting pros, generally, you're impacting hundreds, thousands of people and families, depending on your client base that you're working with. And, just like you mentioned, sitting down with that guy for 15 minutes. And even though he's a smart, wise businessman, is probably making a good choice, trying to get, a better rate or what have you, he needed somebody in his ear to bounce an idea off of, right? And to go, have you thought about this? And going to the, let's say if a person's not, let's say they're a bookkeeper currently, I've got a bookkeeping business, I've got a small book of business. How would that work? How would they work with you in a licensing arrangement? If they're not a CPA, let's say, like you said.
If they're not a CPA, we would have to own 51%, because we do want all Fix It Accounting locations to be CPA firms. There's just much more value in that. You can charge more, and it's just really great. I don't know if they bring their own book of business. We'd have to work that out, but I've already got licensing agreements set up through our attorney that are really good for both parties. We want to make win-win situations, not something that benefits one and not the other. I don't think that's sustainable, So, I just think that can all be worked through. We just haven't done it yet. So until we do, I can't, I don't know exactly, but I've gotten started with the process, and I do know the first steps. And I certainly know we know how to do a firm here. We've got really good processes. There are no fires. Everything's smooth here. If something's not done, it's because the client didn't get us the information, not because we didn't ask for it.
Right. And remind them and ask them again and ask them again and again. Probably pointing a finger at myself here. So
we're all guilty sometimes.
There's other priorities. Well, I think we've covered most of the things. I'm just checking my notes real quick. But I've got actually one note here that you wrote. Sorry, I'm just looking up here. The Fix It framework. This was just in one of the things you initially submitted to us. It's how we help businesses regain financial control, empowering CEOs to understand their numbers.
Yeah, that's part of the advisory, digging in and understanding those numbers and putting together tasks like, okay, this is the most important thing to work on. How are we going to work on that with the client? Looking forward, really helping them improve their revenue, and we don't want to just improve revenue and not improve the bottom line. That bottom line's got to move.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like you said, you guys doing millions in revenue and not making money. How fun is that?
Oh, wow. I just think of how many hours are put toward something like that. And it's so disappointing. And if you don't know that it's happening, what's going on?
Right.
Something's very wrong.
Yeah. Is there and one more question, then we'll wrap up. Have you found there's kind of like a business size that makes sense for somebody to bring on the outsourced CFO?
Yes. Yeah, they need to be well over $1 million. Below that just doesn't really work. The finances of it, they're not making enough money. Some do. I mean, if they're in an industry where it's all profit and they're at $1 million, they can afford us. But typically that's not the case. So I would say, we're looking at 3+ million that we advise to get the CFO service.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
But I've seen people like up to $45-50 million and they don't really know what's going on in their business.
Wow.
I mean, they do, but they don't understand the numbers at all.
Right.
Oh, how'd you get there?
And if they took the time, took the time to stop and plan and review, bring in a professional, could help them get to 75 to 100, right?
That's right. Exactly. For sure. There's so much value in what we do.
Absolutely. So, all right. Well, Nancy, thank you so much. Oh, how do people connect with you? What are all the various ways people can find you?
Our website is fixitaccounting.com.
Yep.
My email or the info at fixitaccounting.com, Nancy at fixitaccounting. Our phone number is 386-320-5347.
There you go.
I'll talk to you.
Yeah. So if you're interested in trying to learn a little bit more about their services from a client's perspective, reach out. If you're interested in learning about, maybe I'll use the term partnering, but working with Fix It Accounting to help grow your business as an accounting firm or firm owner, certainly reach out. I'm sure they'd love to talk to you, and perhaps there's an opportunity, maybe not. Maybe you just end up with one more person in your database you can lean on. So, which is always good.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much. It was
Thanks,
good
Gary.
catching up, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, Nancy.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Are you an accountant?